is page 549, number 17. The problem is about larceny and vandalism. A criminology student wishes to see if there is a relationship between the number of larceny crimes and the number of vandalism crimes on college campuses in southwestern Pennsylvania. The data are shown. Is there a relationship between the two types of crimes? In order to find out if there is a relationship between the two parts of crimes, we have to find the correlation coefficient, or the R. Let's go ahead and write down the 5 different columns. So we have the number of larceny, I'm just going to abbreviate it as LAR for the sake of space. Then we have the number of vandalism, and I'm going to abbreviate vandalism VAN for the sake of space. In order to find the R values, we need to multiply the X and the Y. We need to square the X, and we need to square the Y. So the number of larceny, they tell us, is the X, and the number of vandalism, they tell us, is the Y. So let's go ahead and draw or write the numbers in both columns for X and Y. Multiplying X and Y together, so 24 times 21 is 504. 6 times 3, 18. 16 times 6 is 96. 64 times 15 is 960. 10 times 21 is 210. 25 times 61 is 1,525. 35 times 20 is 700. X squared means that we're multiplying X by itself. So 24 times 24 is 576. 6 times 6 is 36. 16 times 16 is 256. And we can do that all the way down. We do the same thing for y squared. We're going to multiply y by itself. 21 times 21 is 441. 3 times 3 is 9. 6 times 6, 36. 15 times 15, 225, and we'll do that all the way down. In order to obtain the correlation coefficient, or the R value, we need to find the sums in each one of these columns. So the symbol for sum is this uppercase sigma. The sum of this column here is 180. If we add all the numbers up in this column, the sum of the y's, we'd get 147. If we add up this column, we would get 4,013. If we add up the x squareds, we get 6,914. And if we add up the y squareds, we get 5,273. So let's take this information and substitute these numbers into our formula for R. So R is equal to our sample size n, which there are 7 numbers, and we can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So our sample size n times the sum of xy, which is 4,013, minus the sum of x, which is 180, times the sum of y, which is 147, divided by the square roots of the sample size again, which is 7, times the square root times the sum of x squared, which is 6,914, minus the sum of x squared. So we take 180 and we multiply it by itself. 180 times 180 is 3,000. 32,400. And we multiply that by our sample size n times the sum of y squared, which is 5,273, minus the sum of y squared. So this one we multiply 147 times 147, and that gives us 21,609. If we do 7 times 4,013, you get 28,091 minus 180 times 147 is 26,460. Divided by the square root. In the one set of brackets, you'll get 15,998. And multiply that by the other set of brackets, which is 15,302. If we reduce this even further, 28,091 minus 26,460 is 1,631. Divide that by square root of 244,801,396, which comes out to be 0.104. When you're plugging this into your calculator for these brackets, instead of putting the brackets, put parentheses. Same thing with these brackets up here. Instead of brackets, you'll need to put parentheses. So the question in number 17 asks, is there a relationship between the two types of crimes? So let's answer that question. Remember, in terms of R values, if it's 0, if the R value is 0, then there is no relationship. If the R value is positive 1, then it is going to be a perfect relationship. Same thing if the R value was negative 1, it'd be a perfect relationship. At 0, there is no linear relationship. At 1, it's a perfect linear relationship. Or we could say that it's a strong, positive linear relationship. Right? It's strong because it's close to 1, and it's positive because it's a plus sign. If it's negative 1, it's also going to be strong because it's close to negative 1, and it's a negative. Linear relationship. Negative because of the negative sign. If it's 0.5, then it's going to be a moderately positive linear relationship. If it's negative 0.5, it's going to be a moderately negative linear relationship. And the closer and closer it gets to 0, the weaker the relationship. But you need to talk about the direction and the strength. So the direction, positive or negative, and then either weak or strong. So 0.104, if we were to look at it like a number line, would be about right here. So the question asks, is there a relationship between the two types of crimes? Since it's not 0, there is a relationship, but it's going to be a weak positive linear relationship. We'll decide later on if this relationship between the number of larceny crimes and the number of vandalism crimes is a significant relationship.